there's all kinds of problems, but I think the problem that we're dealing with this organization is the lack of transportation. So we're looking at how do people get to wherever they need to go, whether it's school, whether it's a hospital, whether it's the shop to get food. We have to look at how do people get there. And most people in the past had to walk. And sometimes they would have to walk very long distances. For instance, to get to the hospital would be 40 kilometers. So if you are sick or someone in your family is sick and they have to get to the hospital and it's an emergency, how do they get there fast? So we looked at transportation and how can we provide people with a way that they can get to the place they need to go as fast as possible. What do you think a solution could be to this? The solution, at least as far as we are concerned, is bicycles. Bicycles are easy to maintain, so they're not that hard to fix. Bicycles last for a long time. You can have a bicycle for sometimes 20 years, you can still ride the same bicycle. And further, a bicycle gets you a place a lot faster than if you had to walk. So we found that this was the best solution for the problems that people were facing in Namibia.
And can people afford these bikes?
Most people can afford these bikes because these bikes were sent from overseas and they were donated by people in England, by people in Canada, by people in the United States, and also in Australia. So they sent their second-hand bicycle, the one that they used to ride, but no longer had a use for because either they bought a new one or they weren't riding bikes anymore. They sent it to Namibia, and by sending their bicycle to Namibia, it was redistributed, meaning it was sent to someone who needed it. So either they purchased that bicycle for a low price, or they were given that bicycle as a donation for themselves.
So does the city not have metros and buses and things to use
No,
instead?
there's no buses in Namibia, public buses. There's no metros or subways to get around. There is a train, but it's very, very, very slow. You can get around by taxi, but that costs. And if you don't have very much money, you can't afford to take a taxi. So a bicycle is much cheaper than a taxi. All you need is grease and to maintain that you've got air pressure in your wheels and maintain the bicycle, so if something breaks down you'll have to fix it. But really it's the cheapest option.
So who has benefited from these bikes?
All kinds of people. We've worked with about 50 or 60 different community organizations and been able to give about 10,000 bikes to people across country, across Namibia. The people who have benefited are women who use a bicycle to go and do their daily chores, go and collect water, go and collect firewood, go to the shop, take the baby to the clinic. You see lots of people with a baby strapped on their back and riding their bicycle. Then people who work in low-income jobs, so jobs that don't pay a very big salary, they're able to, instead of taking a taxi to work, they can take a bike and save money. Other people who have benefited from bikes are kids, probably like you, who have to go to school. But the distance to school was a huge distance. There was no bus to pick them up. There was no car to drive them there. They had to walk sometimes up to an hour and a half to get to school. A bicycle meant that it was much, much faster to get to school and much easier to get to school. I can give you an example of one boy, but he's maybe a bit older than you guys. It's a boy who was 18 and in grade 11. And the bicycle was used so he could become an athlete. So he started to become a cyclist, a competitive cyclist, and by becoming an athlete he became more serious about school. So a guy who was not doing very well in school, had low marks, all of a sudden by becoming more focused on a sport and a healthy activity, he was also able to use the discipline that he gained from doing the sport into his life and into his academics and achieve better grades. A container of bicycles is collected by a community in, let's say, England. The people in England put 300 bicycles in this big shipping container. It comes by the Atlantic Ocean, arrives here in Namibia. Once it arrives here in Namibia, it goes to a community and to an organization that's helping people within that community. So the bicycles are given to the community, and that community gives some of the bicycles away, some of those 300 bicycles in the container, to people who are needy in their community, but they also sell some of the bicycles. By selling the bicycles, they're able to help their organization, which is already helping people in the community, gain some money so they can do more projects. It also provides 5 people in that community with jobs, and further, it gives them skills training in how to fix bicycles and also in business management. So people are now have a job because these bicycles were sent 5 people in a community. From a wider perspective, the whole community benefits because more people are employed, but further, because people are able to access services easier. So they're able to get to the shop a lot faster, they're able to collect things. And in some cases, we've seen unemployed people being employed just because they were able to have transportation to get to the job because it was too expensive to have transportation in the past. We hope that this project will continue to grow. We hope that more bicycles will be sent from overseas and benefit people from Namibia. What we're seeing is these projects, these containers of bicycles that are coming to Namibia, they're selling out. They're being emptied and there's nothing to put back into them because there's not as many bicycles coming back. So we want more and more bicycles so those containers continue to be sustainable and continue to benefit communities and continue to benefit more people.
Excellent. Okay, we'll go and meet some people that work in this workshop.
Sure.
My name is Josh Nakapipi and I'm a bike mechanic, and I've been working at Ben Namibia for 3 years, and bike mechanic is really a good job, and normally it's an impact whereby I became a cyclist and I was involved in the cycling events, doing the road bike and mountain biking events, and I started working here while I was going to school. I was doing my grade 12 and I was using my bike to go to school, and it was quite safe for me, and I just have to not to spend money on taxis, but use my bike as a transportation to take me to school. And yeah, and after that I got a bike from Ben Namibia, and that time I didn't have enough money, so they just gave me a bike and later to come work off the account, and so that's what I did. And at the end I was permanently employed by Ben. Normally, as you can see, we are dealing with second-hand bicycles. And second-hand bicycle is something that you normally just have at home, the bike that you're not using.
Yeah.
Then you can just donate that bicycles, and then you can donate to Africa. Then normally you save somebody's life, or you save the kid who is using to go to school, to use it as a transport. But as long as you can donate anything, any type of bicycle you have, any wheels, any parts of a bicycle you have, you can still forward it to us normally, because normally what is happening now, normally all the bicycles you see here, they are coming from Canada's, UK's, whereby people have just to, maybe I have 2 old bicycles, all the bicycles that I'm not using at home.
For me, I train people from different villages and villages and regions. Yeah, because you see, I can remember the time when I was giving a training in Okakarana. Before I go there, I was training people from at CCN at the news that send those women who used to sell their body in the bridge. I also trained them. So now they are running their own business.
Wow.
But those guys, I like them because they are very strong, and they used to tell me that, oh, now we are doing a great job. We don't want to go back at that side, because now we are just busy with our work, and some of them, they are affected by HIV sometimes. Now they say that, okay, now this kind of work, now it keeps us busy. Now we are just thinking of our work and then we forget about the disease.